Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Thank you guys for tuning in. I am back with another video. Today I want to talk about Ben Simmons. But before we jump into this video, I just want to make sure that if you are a new viewer, I make basketball videos on this channel 3 times a week. So make sure to subscribe. And if you are a recurring viewer, make sure to hit that like button so we can get this video on an algorithm and get this video to other basketball enthusiasts like you and I. And aside from that, let's jump into this video. I'm Emmanuel Camia and you're watching League Talk. And as you all know, at the beginning of this month, Ben Simmons came out and he told the organization, he told everybody that he did not want to play for the 76ers anymore. This came after a whole month of ridicule, after actually really 2 months of ridicule from both the media, the fans, and somewhat the organization. As you all know, Ben Simmons had one of the worst performances in the playoffs that we've seen in a long time. I mean, like, atrocious, right? This performance came against the Atlanta Hawks, who the 76ers were favored to win over, but lost to because the organization was ready to win. Ben Simmons just wasn't. Ben had a really terrible performance against them because he was scared to shoot the ball. He wouldn't shoot the ball, and this was very detrimental to the team, and they ended up losing to a team that they should have actually won against. They were favorites, and in fact, they were title contenders. They were legit title contenders, and Atlanta was not a title contender. Atlanta was a 5th seed. So really, it infuriated everybody, rightfully so. And so when push came to shove, the 76ers fans finally got to witness firsthand what they were paying millions of dollars for. They got to witness Ben Simmons sink or swim, and they watched him sink and fight for his life because the man got allergic to the basketball. He could not shoot the ball. He wanted it out of his hands, and you're not a very good basketball player if you don't want the basketball in your hands. You're not a very good basketball player if you're not willing to shoot the ball. Literally one of the fundamentals of the game. And rightfully so, they were really pissed off. They were really mad, and something happened that I personally did not approve of at the time, which was this.
Doc, do you think Ben Simmons can still be a point guard for a championship team like the one you guys want to become?
Yeah, David, I don't know that question or the answer to that right now. So I don't know the answer to that.
Doc Rivers, the coach of the 76ers, after the loss to the Atlanta Hawks, came out and he called out Ben Simmons in a presser. He said, when asked if he felt confident that Ben Simmons could be the primary point guard for a championship team, he came out and he said he's not very confident on that. And that at the time seemed trivial to many people, but I knew exactly what it meant. I was like, listen, this could mean a lot down the line, right? Because you're saying you don't believe in me, and potentially you could burn bridges here. I made a whole video about the whole situation, actually titled Doc Rivers Was Wrong About Ben Simmons. And in that video, I went into detail about why I thought those comments were wrong and why they may come back to bite Doc Rivers in the butt. It's a really good watch. I'd encourage you to go watch it to get a full grasp of the story. I'll leave a link down in the description below. But Doc Rivers. Anyways, I said this could be something that could come back to bite the Sixers in the butt, and it did. It came back to bite Doc Rivers in the butt, but more on that later. But yes, Ben Simmons is a very tricky situation, both for himself and the 76ers organization. Now here's why I say that. I say for himself because in his head, Ben Simmons thinks that he is an elite player. He is an elite player to the average person, but he thinks he's a cream of the crop when it comes to the NBA, right? And I can prove this because by his actions. He's doing a lot of things that are very indicative of someone who thinks very high of himself. His hubris, he's out of his mind. He has a lot of hubris, and he is literally out of his mind. He's talking as if he's talking as if he has more power than he actually has. And evidently in the playoffs, we saw that Ben Simmons isn't as great as he thinks he is. He isn't as good as he would like to think he is, right? If anything, he proved himself to be more of a liability than anything in the playoffs, right? Because the team would have won if he was willing to perform, but he didn't, and he became a liability. But because he thinks he's an elite player, someone of the caliber of a Kevin Durant, a Steph Curry, he's able to make these outrageous demands, right? Demanding for a trade. Now, I don't care when players ask for a trade, right? I don't care to a certain degree. right? When LeBron asks for a trade, that's reasonable. Kevin Durant asks for a trade, that's reasonable. James Harden asks for a trade, that's reasonable, right? Ben Simmons, I have a few reasons why I think him asking for a trade is just baloney. It's a lot of hubris going on. But I am going to be fair to him, right? I'm going to look at his side. To be fair to him, maybe he demanded a trade because he felt the bridge between him, Doc Rivers, and the Sixers came collapsing, and it was time for him to go, right? Because I would feel very slighted if my coach said that about me. But that's just me being a little bit fair to him, trying to see it from both sides. Aside from that, still, Ben, you're not that good. Ben is not as good as he thinks he is. If I were to ask you, where would you rank Ben Simmons all time? If I had to rank Ben Simmons, I'd rank Ben Simmons probably top 25. Top 25, top 30. Now, that's not might piss off a lot of people off, but after this playoffs, you know what I mean? I've been saying it for a long time. I made a video even back before the season even started of best under 25, the ESPN best under 25, and I didn't think Ben Simmons actually deserved to be on that list because I don't believe in his skills, right? I don't believe in his skills, and he proved it in the playoffs. So I think he is like a top 30, top 25 at best player, right? And when you're top 25, you don't get to make demands like this, right? And demands like this, I mean this. Ben Simmons is demanding a trade while he is on a 5-year max contract, and he's only 1 year into that max contract, meaning he has 4 years left on that contract, right? You don't get to make those demands. You don't have any leverage. There is no leverage. You just came off of a poor performance in the playoffs, right? And the organization has 4 years of your contract, right? It's not like as if it was 1 year out where he would say, okay, you know what? I'm just gonna play hardball and I'm not gonna play. What, you're not gonna play for 4 years? You don't have any leverage and you're out of your mind. This is what I mean by he's out of his mind. He's the hubris. You don't have that kind of cachet. You're not James Harden. James Harden could afford to play hardball with the Houston Rockets. Okay? You're not that guy.
You're not that guy, pal. Trust me. You're not that guy.
Like you can't pull those strings like that. And that's what I mean by it's all in your head, buddy. Right? You think you're better than you think you are. Okay, he thinks he's better than he thinks he is, which allows him to do things that he can't do. He thinks he's a top, maybe 15, maybe 10, 5 player in the league. And he thinks, okay, well, if I'm that good, I can just push around. Well, I've seen James Harden do it. I've seen this player do it. And maybe I can just do the same thing. No, you're not that guy. And that's why I think it's a tricky situation for him, because until he understands that, things aren't gonna get better, right? And here's why I think he's a tricky situation. He's a dilemma for the 76ers organization. He's a tricky situation for the Philadelphia organization because the Sixers still want him back. They still want him to play for them. Even after that debacle in the summer, the Sixers still want him back, right? Because they haven't been able to get the right trade deal for him yet. So they still want him to play, right? Because if he doesn't play, then they're just eating up dead money, right? If he just sits out, they're just eating up dead money. So they still want him to play, right? And the thing is, you, as an organization, want a player you don't love to play for you. You see how that's a dilemma? You don't love him, but you want him to play for you. And that therein lies the dilemma of the situation. But on the other hand, he doesn't trust the organization because of what his head coach said about him, right? And so you have this really tense situation, this really interesting situation of we're not seeing eye to eye here. What's gonna go down, right? And back to Doc Rivers, not seeing eye to eye, it's come back to bite him. Like I said earlier on in the video, Doc Rivers burned the bridge between him and Ben Simmons when he came out and he ridiculed him. And I say it's come back to bite him because Doc Rivers has come out publicly and he said, I want Ben Simmons to play for us. I want him back. Well, Doc, see how now what your comments a few months ago is coming to do to you? Exactly like I predicted. According to Adrian Wojnarowski, an ESPN correspondent, Ben Simmons told him that he will not be reporting to training camp. He's not going to be playing for training camp. So he doesn't want to play. He wants to play hardball with them. But how long can you really play hardball on a 4-year contract? And Doc Rivers' rebuttal to that is that he said, quote, while I hope we can change his thought on that, that is our job, quote unquote. Doc, that's not our job. That's your job. You burnt the bridge. You're the one that said those things about him in the press. You're the one that he has a problem with. You're the one that he's lost trust with, right? It's not anybody's job to fix it aside from you, because you were being very unprofessional. You're the one that got emotional after a loss, because he always gets like this. Doc Rivers has a track record like this. When he was in Los Angeles with the Clippers, he would get emotional with his star players. I remember he slighted Kawhi Leonard and he slighted Paul George a little bit when he was leaving. So he has a track record of blaming his stars. And that was one of the things I said in that video. Blaming. It comes off as if you were blaming, right? But dog, you have a track record of losing, right? You were being very unprofessional. You were being emotional. You called out one of your star players, right? Instead of being a professional, and you should have said all the right things. You should have said all the PC things. What you should have said was, Ben played bad. We all played bad as a team, and hopefully we can recoup and go into a better place from now on. That's what along the lines of that. But he didn't. He let his emotions get the best of him, and he went on and he said a bunch of things that are coming back to bite him. Because now you look dumb in the press, begging for Ben to come play. You're crawling back to him like an ex who's crawling back to a lover, and it makes you look really dumb. And Ben's like, well, I don't want to play for you, right? And that's the whole debacle. That's the whole situation with Ben Simmons, right? And that's going to be my thoughts on the matter. I will keep you guys informed on everything as this whole thing unravels. If Ben Simmons gets traded, if he's going to play for the season, I'm going to make a video on where I think Ben Simmons could get traded if he's going to get traded. So make sure, if you want a video on that, make sure to hit that subscribe button. And make sure to like this video, and thank you guys for tuning in. And aside from that, see you kids.